here with our next Teen LibCrates talk. Today is February 24th, 2021. At least I think it is. Pretty sure. Yes, it is. Um, and today we are talking about the next part of The Field Guide to the North American Teenager by Ben Philippe. And at our last session, we ended with Artie and Norris being on kind of rocky terms because when he came back from spring break, he had given her a snow globe, and that was not the right move, apparently. um, so, oops. Um, so Norris goes and talks to Maddie about this mishap with Artie, and Maddie agrees to help, or she offers to help with Norris and getting back in Artie's good graces. And then they go, well, not they, but Norris and Liam go to their first team hockey practice, and 18 people show up in addition to Liam and Norris. And Norris is like, "What? There's so many people here." He was really surprised. And so they have a practice, and it goes well. They go out for food afterwards, and they're all having a good time. And Norris is starting to get some friends, it would seem. He has a good time, and when he has a compulsion to say something catty or sarcastic, he chooses not to do that, um, which I think is good for him. So Maddie and Norris talk about Artie, and Maddie writes a text to Artie. We find out that Norris is just giving Artie a bunch of text messages that are like sarcastic, and the expectation is that she would respond in kind, and Maddie thinks that that's a lot of pressure, and so she writes this message to Artie as Norris, and basically asking Artie out on a date, and Artie's like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And so Maddie's language worked, right, which was really cool. Um, and Maddie also suggests that Norris stop being so catty or sarcastic in his messages. So then Norris and Artie have their second date, and he does something that's just purely Norris and takes Artie to school after hours. I don't recommend you do this. But they go to the school after hours, and they watch The Mighty Ducks, which is a hockey movie, because Norris is super into hockey. And they have a great time. They connect. They are enjoying each other's company, and they're interrupted by the chemistry teacher, Mr. Goad, who apparently comes into school late at night to do his laps at the school pool, which is where they were watching their movie. So they had to leave. um, but okay, so later Maddie and Norris are talking, and I'm pretty sure that Maddie is catching feels for Norris. Spoilers, by the way. Because like the way that she talks about Artie makes it seem like she's a little jealous, or the way that Norris talks about his interest in Artie makes Maddie seem jealous, and so I think Maddie's catching feels. I think so. So, Maddie also invites Norris to come to her sister's wedding, which they've been preparing for at the Boneyard for a while. The Boneyard is where Maddie and Norris work together. So, at one of these practices, the hockey practices, Patrick Patrick, I should have mentioned this before. Patrick is one of the people who came out for the first practice. You will remember Patrick being the jock who threw Norris down a flight of stairs into the wet paint. Not a very cool dude um, on the surface. And so Patrick, he ends up getting drunk at practice, and Liam and Norris have to take care of him because obviously he can't drive home. That would be super, super, super dangerous. So Liam and Norris end up taking Patrick to Maddie's sister's wedding, the one that Norris was invited to. And while they're there, Patrick makes this, he's drunk, and so he's saying things. And one of the things that he says is that Liam had a mental breakdown last year. And this is news. We didn't know this, and Liam was not expecting this to come out of Patrick's mouth, and so he's kind of caught off guard and doesn't really know how to respond, so he kind of shuts down a little bit. And while they're at Maddie's place, Maddie comes into the place where Liam and Norris are taking care of Patrick, and Liam goes for a walk. And so Patrick, Maddie, and Norris have a chance to talk about what happened to Liam briefly, right? And we find out that Liam attempted suicide. He was not in a good place mentally, and he tried to take his life, which is really, really sad. The good news is that he was unsuccessful, and he is on some antidepressants, which help him, and that's really good. And he's in a better place now. Norris ends up saying something that is out of place a little bit, and Liam hears Norris say that, and so then things are kind of weird for a second, but then they talk it out and everything's fine, which is really good. So, in the meantime, Artie is trying to get Norris to go home with her to have dinner with her parents. And he agrees and shows up in a tie and is looking all spiffy, which is a little different for Norris. And so while they're having dinner, Artie, you may remember this from a previous discussion, Artie wants to be a photographer, but her parents are against that. They want her to do something different. Maybe be a doctor or something that requires a lot of education. Some different kind of profession that they see as better than photography, right? So while they're having dinner, the four of them, Artie just comes out and says, I want to be a photographer, and I want to travel, and I want to do these things, and it seems to go okay. Her parents don't, like, blow up or anything. They have some comments, but it's not, like, explosive or anything. It seems to go okay, which is good, right? But later on, Artie and Norris are talking about things after dinner, and one of the things they talk about is prom. Prom is coming up, and Norris is like, hey, you should go to prom with me. And Artie's like, no, I'm not into that kind of thing. And Norris is like, but I want to go to prom with you. And Artie's like, sorry, it's really not my thing. I don't want to do it. So they're at an impasse. And that's where I ended up stopping. So, do you guys think that Artie is going to change her mind and go to prom? Maybe, maybe Norris will go to prom with Maddie instead. Because Maddie's catching feels. Maybe Maddie will ask Norris to prom. Hmm. Hmm. We'll just have to read and find out. Alright, guys. That's all I have for today. Um, if you're enjoying the book, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, we'll see you on Wednesday. And until then, take care, be kind, wash your hands, and we'll see you later.